I'm happy to be with you today. My name is Virginia McCallum. I'm a colleague of Bonnie's here on the campus of Southwestern Oregon Community College. I'm a part-time faculty member here, and I've been teaching this study skills course using the Dave Ellis book, the same one you're using, for probably 12 years now. I love the course. I love the chapter on memory. I tell my students that I wish I had learned some of the tricks in this book when I was in junior high school, because life would have been much easier. I hope you're finding it the same. This morning I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about memory tricks. We all have grown up with memory tricks. I think they're something that's partly cultural, but I suspect they exist in almost any language in the world. There's a special name for those for memory tricks, as you know, and it's mnemonics. And I tell my students, don't call it mnemonics because that has to do with the lungs. Call them mnemonics, and that's just the Greek word for the memory trick. We don't really know how these work particularly, but you know, there's a sense in which it's like the telephone. You don't necessarily have to know how it works as long as it does, and that's what the memory trick does. We have several general categories of memory tricks. Ellis has broken these down into 5 for us, but 3 of them I think you'll find are really the most common. The first of these, well, let me get to that. I want to talk to you about what they can and can't do. The thing they can do, and they do very well, is help us remember information we already know. They trigger recall of this type of information, and people who use these tricks well can even do things like recite back the names of a room full of people whom they've never met and do so correctly. I stand in awe of that because I'm so bad with names myself. But you can remember speeches, you can remember large documents in order and correctly if you use these with skill. And you can learn to use some of them that will work for you with practice. Now, that's what they can do. They can help you recall information that you already know. The things they can't do are help you understand things that you don't already understand. They can't help you get into the depth of that. They have a shortcoming in that they can be forgotten, and if they're forgotten, they're of course useless. And another one of their pitfalls is they are so cumbersome and complex, they become easy to forget too, and they're useless because they're too hard to recall and remember and understand. Okay, now I said we were going to break these into 5 categories, and I'll talk first about the 3 that are really the most common. And the first of these are acronyms. Acronyms are simply new words, and we have words that I'm sure as teachers, and I think many of you are, will be surprised to learn. Words common in our vocabulary are truly acronyms, and among these are words like radar, laser, scuba, snafu. I mentioned that one in a class recently, and people were surprised to learn that snafu, remember this one. It's also an acronym that I believe came out of World War II. For those of you who don't know, and I'll clean this up, situation normal, all fouled up. It has to do something that went awry. So snafu is also an acronym. Now the trick to forming acronyms is to create them by putting the first letter of a series of words in order. And order is paramount in the creation of an acronym. This stands for National Aeronautics and space administration. So, you know, obviously it wouldn't work if it was NAAS or SNAA or anything else, because in English it's the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So recalling the first letter in order of each part of the word is the recall of the name. Some of you may also know about this guy. Roy G. Biv. He's the first acronym I really met to know what it was about. Back in junior high school in a science class. And if you dig back in your mind, you'll know that this stands for the name of the colors in the visible spectrum in order of wavelengths: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And those of us who teach also know that this is pronounced Biv because it doesn't have an E on the end to change it into bi. So Roy G. Biv is a familiar character to us. So this is the acronym, the new word, and it's different from its companion, the acrostic. Acrostics are not words, they're sentences. And the sentences do the same thing for information that the acronym does. And the principle of putting them together is the same. What you're looking at is the first letters of a series of words in the sentence, and they have to be in order. That creates the recall. One of the ones we learn in grade school, every good boy does by. The names of the lines on the treble clef in music. When I was doing some research to prepare for this, I looked on a website out of Great Britain, and I found a mnemonic that I had not seen before. Richard of York gave battle in vain. And I looked at that and I thought, what in the world is that trying to recall? Well, Richard R. O. Y. G. B. I. V. Here was Roy G. Biv turned from an acronym into an acrostic for British cultural cognates there. So we had a change of identity for old Roy. I also found another one to recall the colors of the visible spectrum turned into an acrostic also. And it was run over your gerbil because it's vicious. So these are cute, they're funny, and that's part of what helps them be effective for you. One of the acrostics that burned in my mind from my old days in geology when I was in college many years ago is this one: tall girls can flirt and other queer things can do.